The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
This is Beyond Confidence with your host, Divya Parekh. Do you want to live a more fulfilling life? Do you want to live your legacy and achieve your personal, professional, and financial goals? Well, coming up on Divya Parekh's Beyond Confidence, you will hear real stories of leaders, entrepreneurs, and achievers who have stepped into discomfort, shattered their status quo, and are living the life they want. You will learn how relationships are the key to achieving your aspirations and financial goals. Moving your career or business forward does not have to happen at the expense of your personal or family life, or vice versa. Learn more at www.divyaparekh.com, and you can connect with Divya at contact@divyaparekh.com. This is Beyond Confidence, and now here's your host, Divya Parekh.
Good evening, listeners. We have had a little fun today with technology. What happened was I was all prepared with my wonderful, awesome microphone and like a really good phone set with screen and everything. And it was not working. So now back to the old mobile phone. So folks, the quality may not be as good. So I hope you will be a little patient with us. So thank you for joining in. And of course, this is my favorite time of the week because I get to speak to you. And I want to share that. I want to thank you for your generosity. For those of you who have purchased my books, The Entrepreneur's Garden and Expert to Influencer, because the profits from the book are going to entrepreneurs impacted by COVID-19. And if you recall, I am also requesting you to share 1 hour of your time every month without any expectations, just giving back. Just giving back, folks. It is.
It is difficult, is what it is. Oh, wow. We are here live. Sorry, folks. We dropped Divya for a second there, but I think I have her back. So let's check it out. Hi, Divya.
Hello. So looks like while I was checking the chat, it just kicked me out. So, okay, no more checking the chat, folks. So if you got to share something, you may miss out. But we'll answer it in the next segment. So asking y'all to share that 1 hour of your precious, precious time with somebody, do a kind act, and do good by somebody else. So without further ado, I'm going to invite our guests, Keyonna and Jessica.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, Divya.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hi, Keyonna.
Hi, I'm well. Hi, everybody.
And Keyonna, just to confirm, I'm pronouncing your name correctly, right?
It's Keyonna.
Keyonna. Okay. So
Yes.
let's, I want to make sure that I'm pronouncing. Okay. So Keyonna, it's a very pretty name.
Thank you.
So is yours, Jessica.
That's pretty common. I always know at least 3 to 5 Jessicas at any point.
Well, at least we don't have another Jessica on the call.
So there you go.
So I'm going to invite you, Keyonna, to share a bit about yourself. And then Jessica, you can share Reader's Digest version about yourself.
Okay, so I'll start. So again, my name is Keyonna Cox. I am an entrepreneur, an author, a conversationalist, a creative director, and another one that I don't tell people as much, but I am a disruptor.
I love it.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. How about you, Jessica?
Sure. I love the disruptor. That's amazing. But I am Jessica Weaver. I'm a wealth advisor, best-selling author, and financial blogger of Not Your Father's Advisor, because that's what I found when I joined the finance industry. Majority of advisors were my dad, men in their 50s and 60s, and I really wanted to make money a game women are interested in playing. And to stop shying away from money, let's own more of it, because women, and just what you were saying, Divya, women get back 4 times more than men. So imagine the impact when we really shatter that glass ceiling and bust right through it.
Absolutely. Well, today we are going to be talking about it between you, Keyonna, being a disruptor, and Jessica. So we are in for some fun times. So let's kind of rewind the clock back. And Jessica, do you remember a moment when you got interested in finances in your childhood, or you didn't have an inkling back then?
Yes. So my father's an advisor. I've grown up in the industry. He's been an advisor for 40 years. And my earliest memory of money was I had this tin that I kept all of my money in. And I would hide it in my closet, and I would lock my door, take it out, count my money. And my parents must have known how much I loved money even at that age. I was probably like 7 or 8 years old. So whenever I got in trouble, when I would run in my room, lock the door, they would come bang on it. Jessica, if you don't open this door right now, we're taking away all your money. It's like, oh, that's when I learned the money can be taken from me.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked every time. I always opened the door, crying, don't take my money. But I could see the power money had, and also, in one swell swoop, it could be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since then, I can see how that story can play out in so many different ways.
Absolutely. And I want to also bring a point over here. In one swoop, the money can be gone. And at the same token, if you have the skill sets, money is just a number, you can earn it back.
Mhm.
So
That's a great point. A miracle can happen at any point, and your life
Right.
can change.
yes, absolutely. And miracles are only for all around. And the key is, right, having that faith along with building yourself. Because so many times what happens is that we could leave up to fate, or, oh, things are going to happen when it's going to happen. And if you don't do anything, then as they go, law of attraction, right? If you break it down, you can only attract where you can put action into.
Inspired action. Yes.
Mhm. Absolutely. Inspired action. That's it. Keyonna, how about you? Like, when you were young, were you disrupting things back then? Even
Yeah, let my grandmother tell it. I was disrupting a lot of things. Yeah, I was raised by my grandmother, and she had us in Catholic school. So once I got to the 9th grade, I decided I no longer want to be in Catholic school. I wanted to go private. I mean, I want to go public. I wanted to go to public school. And so now we're going from uniforms to free dress. And my grandmother also taught me cooking and fashion. She would take us shopping all the time, although we went to Catholic school. So free dress was fun when we had those at our Catholic school. But now I'm in high school, and I am wearing different clothes every day. I'm not in this uniform anymore.
Mhm.
And I didn't like to wear the same things over. So now I had to have some money. So if I had to get a job, I started babysitting. And then as early as I could, I worked at Taco Bell was my first job. and and so I started to, at an early age, there were just a lot of things that I wanted to do. I'm definitely an entrepreneur at heart.
Mhm.
So the babysitting, of course, that was an entrepreneur. And I just wanted to be able to do the things that I wanted to do without having to ask. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Not
Yes.
need permission.
Yes, not get permission. Yes, Jessica, to not get permission. So even at 18 years old, I bought my first car with my own money, no co-signer or anything.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely at an early age for me where money was on my mind.
Yes. And in your wallet.
Yes.
Sounds like you learned a lot of lessons fast and became profitable. That's amazing.
Yes.
And I gotta tell, that's a very refreshing perspective to have, because women do tend to shy away from the topic of money. And it's important because what I believe is that what kind of relationship do you have with money? And if you're comfortable with money, it's okay to have, because the more you have, the more impact you can have. So rather than thinking, oh, where's my next paycheck is going to come from, or where I'm going to make my ends meet, if you have more of it, not only you can have the quality lifestyle you deserve, you can help other people. I mean, that's the power you can definitely translate it into. So, Keyonna, tell me, as you move through your babysitting and other journeys, where did you land career-wise?
So I got a mailer. Back then, they would send out flyers in the mail to become a medical biller. And you can make X amount of dollars from home. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Entrepreneur. I can make this amount from home. And I had 2 children. I had 2 sons by the time I was 18 years old. I graduated high school a year early, a month before I had my first son. So, I mean, yeah, I tell people when they're like, hey, you don't look like you have a 23-year-old, 24. I said, I'm not old. I just started early. And so I did, I responded to this mailer to become this medical billing specialist. I finished the program. They gave you up to 12 months. I finished it in 6 months, and I started working from home. It didn't go as fast as I anticipated. So, but with me having that certification, I was able to work at doctor's offices and hospitals. So I went there. Did that for about 1.5 years, and then my passion for fashion was screaming for me, so I applied to FITM, the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in San Francisco. I went there. I did runways in stores for Nordstrom's and Macy's, and I'm like, okay, I want more. Let me get to LA. I wanted to do TV and film and videos and red carpet, and so you talked about stepping out in faith. I had just left the medical billing, that medical field, and I came to Los Angeles, not knowing but one person. And that really didn't count because I didn't utilize them to the max. So I just came out here. I started reaching out to people, networking, and got my first magazine for a national magazine for a front cover. For a celebrity, and then I just went from there. Again, the everything that I wanted to do, TV, film, videos, I did it all, and yeah.
How amazing!
So, Keyonna,
Yes.
absolutely amazing. And a question for you, like, there are probably a lot of moms thinking about it, that you had young ones. How did you handle that along with your career?
Ooh, good question.
Before I left, I actually had one more. So I had 3 by the time I moved to Los Angeles. I had 3 sons by the time I moved to Los Angeles. So my oldest and middle son, because I wanted to see before I brought them. I did have a supportive family. So my grandmother would keep my oldest and my middle son, and then my youngest son, his dad's family kept him while I came for about 4 months to get a feel and see, and then I went and brought them. One thing, you definitely have to have a support system when doing things like that. You can't do it alone. It's a lot. It's definitely a lot, and I did have that support. I can say I'm grateful, and not everyone can say that, but that is what I had. I had a great support system with my sons, and I mean, I've even had projects where I was able to bring them on set. So anytime, unless I couldn't do it, I always had them with me, unless it was like a absolutely no. I was a hands-on mother, just juggling sports, parent-teacher conferences. I would go on field trips. And as an entrepreneur, that was another reason why I wanted to, because I wanted that flexibility with my sons and to be able to have that time with them and not just a certain amount of time. And it was fun. Yeah. But the support system, definitely.
Can I say one cool thing for your sons to see you chasing your dreams
Mhm.
and to live them out and to stand in that, and for them to see a strong woman like you? Now they know what a strong woman is like and how to support them, whether it's their girlfriends, family, their future wives.
Mhm.
Now you're rewriting that whole conversation for them.
Yeah, and they've watched it, especially my youngest one. He is
Yeah.
very like me. My oldest and middle son too, but the youngest one, he really watched. He took heed, and he's just really already working, doing foreign exchange. I mean, yeah, at 18 years old, he just graduated last year. So yeah, yeah.
Amazing.
Well, there's quite a few things that we can learn from here, right? That you ask for help. Because so many times what happens is that women think they can do it all, and then they will not ask for help and they're struggling. Versus what happened here was that not only you were able to be successful, you were able to find a time for yourself and have that comfort in your heart that your children were well taken care of. And then you did bring him up. So it's not about having help for the whole of your life, but it's finding that time and being vulnerable and saying, it's okay. I can handle it all. And if I have support system, let me go for it. So how about you, Jessica? Share with us, how did your career move?
Yes, Jessica.
Sure, it's hard to top that.
Yeah.
I kind of, I guess, destined to join the financial industry growing up in it. And I started getting licensed while I was still in college. I graduated and I jumped right in, and I did exactly what the industry told me to do, what the other advisors were telling me to do. And I just felt like all of my clients were getting the industry standard and mediocre results. And I know my women, they're worth way more than just mediocre average results. And it wasn't just me feeling the need that there's a larger game to be played here than just the day-to-day money. And just you wake up, you get paid, you pay your bills, and you move on. There's so much more that we can do with money, and to open themselves up to really stepping into a leadership role with money. And like I said earlier, playing this game of money and having fun with it, and thinking a big fat bank account can be sexy, or this amazing investment portfolio can be what's hot for women, and to start maybe shopping with our money and for our money instead of just with our money. Like making those shifts is not just spending our money. Everything's an investment. Every money transaction is an investment. Whether you're at the grocery store and you're spending money to invest in your family's health, right? Or like you did, Keyonna, investing in your career and seeing it blossom. And I really wanted women to get engaged. So we started doing events just for women to build that safe environment. I started the blog, Not Your Father's Advisor, to really just give a new lens on money. That it's not something that's hard to do. It's not just for the wealthy, that we all can get involved in this larger play with money. And that just spurred the books. We have our third book, Confessions of a Money Queen, coming out this year. And it's really harnessing, like, what is in our heart with money, right? What does it say? What is our mindset? Aligning these, and then we can find the right investment vehicles. But if our heart and mind aren't aligned, no, nothing's going to end up working. We're always going to second guess ourselves. We're not going to have the confidence, like you always talk about. So starting with our heart and mind, and then aligning it with the investments.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned something very cool, Jessica, is that I was doing what everybody else was telling me. And that's not leadership. Because, just having that title, whether it's a financial advisor or lawyer or home engineer, doesn't matter. It
Yes.
is about making that shift. And I'm going to emphasize on that word, making that transition, making that change, making that shift to becoming a leader. Because a leader is someone who shows up. A leader is someone who goes beyond that mediocrity. A leader is someone who's wired for action. And that's what you took. So that is very fascinating. So tell me, Jessica, as to for you, what is the difference between mediocrity and being extraordinary?
Great question. And I work with a lot of people in the corporate world, and that whole mentality is let's work 5 days, during the week for 2 days on the weekend. It's a negative 60% rate of return, if nobody knows that. Right? We all get scammed into this. We work for 30 to 40 years. We sacrifice every day to hope to maybe have $1 million or $2 million to hopefully retire on. And you still have this fear of, I'm never going to have enough money. What happens if I become a burden later in life? And I think we can all say that we are worth way more than just that. Sacrificing every day to hopefully maybe potentially have enough money to still live in fear every day of running out of money. And that's what I want to encourage women. It's like, we don't always have to sacrifice. There doesn't have to be a sacrifice when it's done right. And we really can have it all. And it's stepping into our worth and saying no to the distractions that don't work for us anymore. Say no to money. Right? In February, I said no to about $100,000. I said no to it. People are probably like, what the heck was she thinking? But I knew I would have to sacrifice who I am and how I work every day for that money. And I also knew it was below my value. I would have never said no to that money years ago, but I finally stepped into, as you said, that leadership role. It's like, okay, this is what I truly want for my money. And I could say no to things that don't suit me anymore.
Absolutely. No, very powerful. And Keyonna, you have exemplified leadership in your life as young as you were. Very inspirational story. So from your perspective, if you were telling your sons, what's that difference between being mediocre and being extraordinary? How would you explain it to them?
Very simple. I would just share with them to be mediocre is to settle. A lot of people settle for less. We hear that, what's that saying? You're living above your means. But a lot of people are living below their means, like Jessica mentioned. They don't understand their value. They don't understand their worth. So they would have jumped at that 100,000, like, how do you do that? Very similar to me. I had about 2.5 years ago, I had one of the big 5 publishing companies. They wanted 3 of my books. I told them no. Now, it didn't make sense at the time because people are like, how could you tell them no? And it didn't make sense at the time, but it makes sense now because fast forwarding, I started my own publishing company. So, and turning those books into film. And so if I would have signed with that particular publishing company, I would have had to get authorized rights for my own stories. And I didn't know that back then, but I do now. But also too, mediocrity is doing what others want you to do instead of knowing what you should be doing. Following the crowd or seeing what someone else is doing and say, hey, I'm going to do that too, but that doesn't work for you. So the extraordinary is courageous. It is finding what you are gifted. What were you born to do? What is your path, your destiny, your purpose? And when you have people who are multi-talented or gifted, it can become a little challenging because where do you start? Where do you start? But also just start, you do have to start by writing those things down and then digging a little deeper. But again, the extraordinary is the courageous and those who aren't like Jessica. She wasn't willing to compromise. So the extraordinary does not settle for less or mediocrity.
That's so beautifully said. Amen.
Yeah, and it's very powerful, right? When we come out on a platform and share it, that life is not just about money. It's, again, we go back to the relationship, and that's something I talk about in my book, The Entrepreneurship. One of the key critical relationships to being an entrepreneur is having the right relationship with the money. And when we talk about that relationship is, what is that inner value to you? Who are you showing up for in your life? And what are you trading your life for? So, for example, as Jessica, you mentioned that you let go of 100,000, and Keyonna, you shared that you just continue to plow on your own and came up with your own movie rights. It shows that you know your value. And you just can't equate with numbers because money is an idea. And that's the right relationships that we're talking about. Great examples, ladies. So, Keyonna, tell us which of your book you have got movie rights for, and tell us a little bit about it, if you can.
So I've written 5 of my books are complete. I actually have 8. So I'm simultaneously writing 3. Interesting. And I'm actually releasing them backwards. So the book number 5, are the completed ones, I'm releasing those backwards. So the first 3 was a trilogy. And then I'm releasing my book number 5. It's coming out June 8th. It's currently available for pre-order. It's Unpacked Baggage: Getting to Know Keyonna Cox from A to Z. So yes, literally all the 26 letters of the alphabet. I had unpacked these bags over 10 years, which, yeah. And that's not even an exhaustive list. Some of them like L and P and S, I could have done 2, but I could only do 1 for the book. But yeah, that's currently available on my website, www.unpackbaggage.com. And so for that, we're in the process. It's actually an introduction to my autobiography. So we're still in a pre-production stage for those 2 with my autobiography, the Unpacked Baggage, which is very similar. Of course, the autobiography, I will expound on my stories.
Right. So you mentioned about movie rights. Are you making them into a movie, or what's happening with that?
So documentaries and docuseries. Yes.
Okay.
And I'm starting with mine, but I'm also bringing on other authors to assist them with publishing their books as well under the publishing company. Because that's another thing. A lot of people aren't familiar with the publishing company, similar to a record label or record deal.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Significant amount is taken away from the author who has done most of the work. Yes, and absolutely. So I wanted to come in too and say, hey, no, and give these people the opportunity and the value of what they deserve.
Absolutely. So, Jessica, let's talk about, where has your career taken and where are you right now, and what is it that you're doing to help others?
Sure. I think like any kind of company or brand, it's almost like a living human being where it's always changing and maturing as you go through different changes and transitions and struggles. And I feel I'm kind of like a mad money scientist. Anything that I research, I read, I get as much education as possible, old school techniques, new stuff, reworking things. And it's been such an interesting journey. And whatever I use and works for me, I give to my clients. And right now I'm really embracing the spiritual side of money. And as you said before, really, how do we show up in life? How do we show up for our money? And knowing that money is an energy and it's always circulating us. It's not like we've missed our shot with money or we missed that opportunity. We can't even forgive ourselves for it. It's still there. It's just waiting for us to call it in. But the biggest piece is that trusting that we're not going to blow it.
Yeah.
Like that waterfall, that windfall comes in. And that's what I'm experiencing right now with huge growth and even doubling my income every month. And you can imagine as your income starts to double, you start talking bigger and bigger numbers. And it's like, can I trust myself with that money and what I'm going to do with that money? And that's what I help women do is creating these money systems so that when they receive it, they optimize it, they protect it, they manage it, and they give it back. And they have that legacy play. And that's what's so missing is being able to give, knowing there's more coming. And that fluidity, which can be just so beautiful for women. And it's really nice. And it's definitely hitting home for a lot of women because we're sick of the burnout. We've all had enough burnout.
Yes, definitely the last year's been very tough. So let's say if a person is not able to come and work with you and if they're out there, so what advice would you give them to take their money and create a money system on their own, or give them some resources and then that can help them increase their money returns every month?
Yes, I would not encourage people to DIY it. I would encourage you get educated. There are so many resources, so many people out there talking about this. Find somebody who you can really connect with and who understands exactly what you're going through. Maybe you're going through a divorce, you're starting your own business. Connect with those experts because you won't have to work 3, 4, 5 times as hard for the same dollar. Right? Why do that? Why not skip that and get the expert's advice, and then you can make it your own? And that's the beauty of especially our systems, right? We plug them right into your lifestyle, right into how you already operate with money. And we just enhance it and we optimize it. So utilize those resources and invest in yourself, right? Forget about the stock market, bonds, mutual funds. Invest in yourself. You're going to have an amazing rate of return, and that compounding interest on your income, on your savings, on your investment, it just grows and grows and grows till you have your own money empire.
Absolutely. So, Keyonna, as far as you have always mentioned that there are a few people who make 3 mistakes, and that perpetuates not success, but on the other side of the coin, it may perpetuate failure. So, what are those 3 reasons that you want to share?
Oh, well, very. It's just to reiterate the mediocrity is that they settle. 2, they follow what other people tell them to do versus what that they know that they should be doing. And the other one is really people are just not, Jessica mentioned trust. They don't know who they are. And when you don't know who you are, you won't show up your best as your best self. So that's very important to know who you are.
Absolutely. Good points. Definitely good points. So, Jessica, you do also mention about some 5 money moves. You want to share any of those with our audience?
Sure. I think kind of continuing this conversation, this theme we have about, knowing who you are, what your worth is, and the trust is one of my favorite exercises. And we just did this the other day during our Money Empire retreat is, write down your income, write it down, write down what's in your bank account, and then double it. And then double it again. And that's much more probably in line with your true worth because we do lowball ourselves and we don't even know we're doing it. But it's flexing that worthiness muscle a lot more because we're eliminating ourselves from opportunities and we don't even know it, right? We think we're stuck at this job in this corporate world and that's it. This is how I can earn my money. I'm like, that's a money block. Just by thinking that way, you're blocking opportunities. So it's understanding there's so many ways and on a drop of a hat, things can shift for you. And to have that trust, that patience, and know your worth to say no to things. This is below that number, that highest number after we doubled it and doubled it again. This is what I'm going to stick to and trust in that. Even when you feel like there's no opportunity, trust in that. You stay in that. You keep showing up at that higher number, at that worth. And it's amazing what's going to shift for you. And every day I have people reaching out to me, telling me their money miracles. And that's the best part of my job is hearing from women firsthand. My house just got sold for way over asking. One person, I just got 3 new clients after saying the prayer you gave me. I just got 2 job opportunities a minute after we spoke. It's amazing how we can open up that source to money and opportunities just by doing a few of these money shifts.
Yeah, no, very powerful. So, Keyonna, do share with us where people can find you and what would be your one parting or a couple of parting thoughts for our audience.
Okay, so again, my book is available currently for pre-order. It'll be released worldwide on June 8th, but it's currently available at www.unpackedbaggage.com. I can also, I don't know if you guys noticed the bow tie and the tie. This is Tie Bow. So this is also one of me and my partner's businesses we just launched. It's Tie bow tie spelled backwards. I have a lot of people like, oh, is that Billy Blanks? And I'm like, no, it's Tie Bow, Tiebow. So the website is www.theoriginaltiebow.com, and it's currently available in 30 styles. I can also be found on LinkedIn at Keyonna Casey Cox. Instagram, I'm not that active on there, but I do have an account. And that's also at Keyonna Casey Cox. And the takeaway, as Jessica mentioned, it's really been the common the topic of understanding your value, understanding your worth, and really purpose. Divya, you mentioned, why are you doing it? Why do we do the things that we do? Which that's my book number 4, Why People Do What They Do. But it really is, what is the purpose? A lot of people don't understand the purpose of money. And when you don't understand the purpose of a thing, you will abuse it. So yeah, and the multiple streams of income is significant too. Understanding that, not just having one, especially starting off as a freelance stylist, I didn't know there were other sources of income that I needed to have when I first got started, because when you get in the industry new, they want you to do a lot of free work, but it's like, okay, you have bills, and then I had children, and so it's like, okay, what else? Unless you have a supportive family or spouse, if you're married, but you definitely need that additional source of income, those various streams of income. And so something else Jessica mentioned, when looking for different entities, it is very key to connect with like-minded people. Those who have walked the walk and overcome and have lived what you are in the process of wanting to achieve. I really learned that the hard way. And I don't use that word often. I would use challenge, but I don't use difficult and hard. But that was, for a long time, I really didn't understand that. It is so important to be around like-minded people, supportive people. Not that you agree on every single thing, but there's a certain direction that you're going in, and you have to get with that tribe or those like-minded people. So that's what I would definitely encourage people to do. Yeah, discover what your purpose is, not what other people think or what they want. Especially parents, we're going to talk to the mothers and fathers too, who live through their children and want their children to do what they do. I know a lot of parents like that, and it's just a lot of pressure on the children. Yeah, yeah, a lot of pressure on the children. So my sons, they know whatever they want to do. I'm very supportive. May not agree with everything, but I'm like, okay, hey, what's the worst thing that can happen? Do it for a few months, and if not, then do something else. They're still young, and figure it out. You'll figure it out. The trust, like Jessica said, you have to begin to learn to trust and follow
yourself.
peace. You have to follow that piece. Yeah.
Good point. And thank you, Keyonna, for some great posts over there. And Jessica, why don't you share like where people can find you and anything else you'd like to share?
Sure.
Takeaway for audience.
So many great takeaways that Keyonna just shared. But yes, everything.
We are nearing to the end of our show, so maybe one or so.
Of course. Yes. Well, my book, Strong Women, Stronger Assets, and that focuses on how do we raise our net worth by raising our self-worth first, building that up, and then our net worth follows. It falls in suit. It's amazing how that happens time and time again. And Time to Refine, which is more around retirement and really retiring on our own terms. And it's not that old-fashioned retirement anymore. It's really embracing this work optional lifestyle. And I love, as Keyonna said, happy retirees have 3 to 4 income sources. So as you said that, I was like, yes, it's true. When we're less dependent on one income source, we feel a lot more secure and stable. And we know that allows us to say no to things out. So we have even money mindset meditations, journal prompts, a whole spiritual money guide, because it's like once we start embracing that spiritual side of money and it helps us find out what is our purpose. What does all of this mean? As both of you have so eloquently said, what is the purpose of money in our life? And once those are aligned, it's amazing how the floodgates open up, and having this onpour of money to you, and then knowing exactly how are you going to utilize that money and optimize it and keep it growing and building your legacy to give back. So I would encourage women, the biggest thing is, let's stop shying away from our greatness. Let's stop apologizing for it, and let's step into it. And then once you do that, you start profiting from peace and purpose in your life. And what's a better way? Having complete peace over your money, over your path forward, and trusting that there is a larger plan that sometimes we can't see, but allowing us to receive those inspired actions and the messages that we're supposed to, and receiving miracles from God, because we are all worthy of miracles, and we should expect miracles, right? They're coming to us. They come to us every day. Let's start receiving them, and you almost become like a power source because people around you start to get them, and they don't even, they're like, why are these things happening? And it's because you become that power source for people. And it doesn't suck your energy when it's done, when you are standing in your greatness, in that divine purpose of your life.
No, beautiful. Ladies, it's been wonderful speaking to both of you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. This was so interesting. I love the conversation.
It's important that we share what we know with others, because I've found that every week I get to learn a lot. So it's amazing. So thank you, ladies. And I wish you both really well with your upcoming projects. And listeners, thank you for joining us, because without you, the show would not be possible. And Rebel, thank you for making the show possible. So folks, everyone, take that moment, as these beautiful ladies mentioned about miracles and trusting yourself, and let that gift of life become life in your life. And it may sound mouthful, but here's the thing. We wake up and we don't appreciate the gift of life that we get every day. So appreciate it, be grateful, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you for being part of Beyond Confidence with your host, Divya Parekh. We hope you have learned more about how to start living the life you want. Each week on Beyond Confidence, you hear stories of real people who have experienced growth by overcoming their fears and building meaningful relationships. During Beyond Confidence, Divya Parekh shares what happened to her when she stepped out of her comfort zone to work directly with people across the globe. She not only coaches people how to form heart connections, but also transform relationships to mutually beneficial partnerships as they strive to live the life they want. If you are ready to live the life you want and leverage your strengths, learn more at www.divyaparekh.com. And you can connect with Divya at contact@divyaparekh.com. We look forward to you joining us next week, Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time.